the perception of racing is how much should we care about what people outside of racing think? Like I've seen so many varied opinions on this, where some people want to completely change the sport to help the perception of PETA and whoever. Some people want to ignore it completely and say it only matters what the people inside the industry think about what's going on. Ron, I know you got a take on this. Give it to me. What's your feeling?
First of all, PETA is only interested if they can get a check from it. PETA is, I think there's some good people that follow PETA, and I'm not saying that, but whenever you take the salaries and you have the kill rate that they do, I'm not interested in their idea of anything. They're extremists, and I don't listen to those people. But I can tell you this, our social license is up for debate daily. It needs to be a priority. And the most troubling part of that, the fact that our social license is up for debate, is that there's no one that's skilled and designated to defend stuff whenever it's said wrong. And, I read stuff all the time, and I'm a tweener. I'm not, I'm not a 30-year-old computer guy, and I'm not a, 80-year-old curmudgeon that don't turn his phone on. But so I'm in the middle, and I'm going, somebody said something with a lot of followers that was completely false. Right. Why hasn't anyone fixed that? Why did they not say, no, this is why they do that? It's crazy. They'll say, Oakland moved their race day back. They don't care about the gamblers. What? That's how they make their money, you idiot. Right. And this guy will have 8,000 followers. Oakland can just screw off because they pushed the rebel back a day. How about the fact they were trying to do right by the horses? Right. Why didn't somebody stand up and go, Oakland's not going to do it. These businesses aren't going to do it. They're not going to waste their time, but they don't realize that somebody needs to. Now, it can't be a trainer, because usually when that stuff is said, I've got poultice on my hands. I can't go deal with that shit. I've got a job, and the pen is mightier than the sword. Mm-hmm. So I feel like if I ever combat when someone says something stupid, that I'm just opening myself for a day-long back and forth with somebody who's never going to get it. Yep. They're never going to get it. But I believe that the perception needs to be dealt with. In fact, I've actually brought several people to the track and pointed out things that they never knew that were anti-horse racing. And when they got educated, they understood that what they believed all this time was inaccurate and based on somebody else's telling them something that was totally false. I let them see the pre-race exams. I let them see all the care that gives. I let them see the vets on the racetrack that don't work for us. They work for the horse. They're not paid for by us. They go, well, these guys will let them run it. No, we have no say whether or not. If the horse was perfect the day it got entered, and it was perfect the morning when it went through the pre-race inspection, and it was perfect walking over, if they see that horse take a bad step, like they did with Speed King in his first race at Churchill Downs, when he was 5-2 favorite, he turned, and when he did, he took a funny step. That state vet said, scratch him, give the money back, bring him back to barn. Hey, you scratched my horse? Thank you. Because I wouldn't have let him over if I would have thought something was wrong. He could have stepped wrong. Come to find out, he when he turned sideways, that cinch, the girt, kind of pinched him. Yeah. And he took 2 steps that were bad. But we didn't know that. And that vet made a good decision, just better safe than sorry for that horse. But the people don't understand that these people are out there doing these jobs. Right. And there's nobody telling them the story. Right. I think there's a couple organizations here recently, but I believe we're all, if you love horse racing, your job is to, if you hear somebody say something that is false or is propagandized by somebody who's creating a avenue of income based off of something bad happening to one of our horses, make sure you tell them the truth.
Tink, I'd love to hear you follow up on that as someone who does spend a lot of time on racing Twitter. And I've seen, you see the worst opinions of the sport, both from inside and outside the industry. Like, just piggyback, if you can, on what Ron said about our responsibility to protect the game from a PR standpoint.
Yeah, I agree. Listen, I have been critical in some cases of people who have focused on the superficial marketing of the sport. But the reason that I've been critical is because there are so many obvious big problems with the game that I think, fundamental systemic problems that I think need to be addressed. Otherwise, it's just gonna wither away. But I completely agree with Ron that marketing is important. I agree that PETA are extremists and that they should be, dealt with in a very sort of simple and strong way. You shouldn't give them any more airtime than necessary. You can rebut what they have to say and it should, be enough to move on. But yes, I think that the game could do a much better job attracting new fans. And, I think in some ways they do good jobs. I was always a big proponent of the breakfast things that both in New York and Florida used to be. I'm showing my age here, but it used to be Mary Ryan who was doing the breakfast show in New York and also at Gulfstream for a period of time. And, I could just see the excitement in the kids' faces and the parents who had brought them out to see the horses in the morning. And, that's where some deep roots can really begin to grow. So I'm a big believer in the value of that, but, being, more of a realist and at the stage of my life and career that I'm at, I'm much more concerned. It doesn't matter how good the marketing is if the wagering handle is cut another 50% over the next 10 years, as it has been over the last 20 years, and it's not going to matter if in 20 years from now the horses average 10 career starts instead of 15. I mean, there are fundamental issues that really require, I think, acute attention. But I agree with all of you that better marketing can only help the game, and there should be efforts to do it. And I really appreciate Ron's point, which is that most trainers tend to stay in the background. Either they are not very comfortable being vocal about things or on social media, or they're afraid that someone might argue with them in a way that would interfere with their business. Whatever the case may be, I think that if we have more trainers like Ron who are thoughtfully engaging in a public manner, it can really be very helpful to the game in a deeper way than the more superficial kind of marketing might impact it.
That's an excellent place to wrap. And yeah, I echo that. Ron, thank you so much for coming on and giving us your insight. Tink, thank you so much for coming on and giving us
as always,
your insight. It's been a blast. We had a separate discussion on Lasix that was really fascinating, a debate back and forth between Ron and Tinky. We're going to split that out and have that be a second show, just because we wanted to be able to stand alone. But this was a great discussion as well. Thank you guys so much for coming on. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you. It's great to see you guys. And if I can ever help you with anything, holler at me. Get to the races, and if you want to come see the barn, let me know. I'll show you around.
Oh, I'd love that.
Thanks, Ron.